Welcome everyone. I am so stoked to have you here for this explainer. Go ahead and put on your product designer hats for a minute because we're looking at a completely monumental shift in how we actually interact with our screens. We're diving deep into how the incredible team over at Google DeepMind is fundamentally reimagining the absolute oldest tool in our entire digital toolkit, the mouse pointer. You know, as a designer, literally nothing excites me more than taking something we do 1,000 times a day without even thinking about it and just completely turning it on its head to make it drastically better.
What if behind the pointer there was an AI model actually listening to us? I mean, wow. This super provocative question comes directly from Adrienne. She's a researcher at Google DeepMind, and her whole job is to prototype, experiment, and deeply understand how to build systems that satisfy real, actual human needs. And I really want you to hold onto this idea as we go through this explainer together. Just imagine for a second that your cursor isn't just this dumb pixel locator anymore, but an actual collaborator that genuinely understands your goals.
All right, Section 1, the 50-year-old interface. To truly appreciate where our user interfaces are heading, we got to take a quick look back at the limitations of our past.
50 years. Think about that for a second. Pointing is at the very core of how we interact as humans, right? When we collaborate with other people, we constantly point at things. But in the digital space, the traditional mouse pointer has been our single, unwavering constant for half a century. The hardware has changed entirely. The graphics have evolved in ways that are just mind-blowing. But we're still dragging this digital metaphor of a little desk rodent across every single website, every document, and every workflow we use. It's kind of crazy when you step back and think about it.
And here's the core issue we face today as UX and product designers. The traditional pointer is, well, it's a one-way interaction relic. It's totally static. Right now, you, the user, you're doing all the heavy lifting. You have to physically locate the exact pixel, click the precise button, and navigate through this entire complex menu hierarchy. And the system? It has zero understanding of why you're actually clicking. DeepMind realized that to truly innovate, we absolutely need a system that understands human intent, not just X and Y coordinates.
Which brings us to Section 2, Designing for Fluid Intent. This is where the magic really starts happening. Shifting toward this experimental, AI-enabled pointer powered by advanced models like Gemini.
You can really see the stark contrast between our old paradigm and this new one. On one side, we've got static clicking, where the tool only knows exactly what pixel you land on. But on the other side, fluid intent. DeepMind's AI pointer understands not just what you're pointing at, but why it actually matters to you, and crucially, how to act on it. It's literally shifting the burden of execution away from the human and giving it entirely back to the machine. It's a real game changer.
So how does it grasp this fluid user intent? The AI pointer is basically digging through complex layers of data simultaneously. It mixes 4 very specific inputs: voice, text, image understanding, and pointing. By weaving all these multimodal inputs together, the pointer isn't just, staring at a flat image of your screen. It's actively comprehending the underlying data structures and your verbal commands at the exact same time.
To show you how this works in practice, imagine just saying, "Make this orange." In a traditional design app today, making a node orange means finding the specific layer, opening up a color picker, maybe typing in a hex code. But in this DeepMind prototype, by simply hovering over a specific node and saying the word "this," the AI-enabled pointer instantly knows the data behind the scenes. It grabs that actual text node, adds it directly to the prompt, and boom, the color is changed instantly. No clicking through endless menus. Or consider a task like saying, "Add this to my shopping list here." Because this new system actually understands spatial words, a user can just point at a couple of ingredients on one side of their screen and then point over to their list on the other side. The AI knows exactly what this refers to, and it knows exactly where here is. It just effortlessly completes the task based on that spatial awareness and voice combination. It's so smooth.
Okay, moving on to Section 3, breaking down app walls. From a systems design perspective, this is absolutely groundbreaking. Fluid intent fundamentally removes the friction we always experience when jumping between completely different applications.
Imagine a workflow like this. First, a user points at 2 completely different locations on their screen, saying, "Show me how to go from this place to that place." Second, instead of apps being these isolated little silos, all the open windows communicate directly with the pointer. They feed data to create a prompt on the fly. And third, Gemini processes this cross-app data to generate actual map directions. Now hold on. As designers, the second an AI starts reading across isolated windows, user privacy has to become our absolute top priority, right? For a system like this to actually be viable, intent tracking must be strictly ring-fenced. We have to ensure that any cross-app data processing remains super secure, entirely local wherever possible, and completely under the user's control.
And because of this whole intent-driven paradigm, the pointer doesn't even need to be a physical mouse in your hand anymore. DeepMind showcased this incredible prototype called Head Gemini. By using hands-free head tracking, a user can navigate the interface entirely through head movements and voice. Because the AI is doing all the heavy lifting of actually understanding the context, you no longer need that pixel-perfect precision from your hand.
To really showcase the absolute magic of this workflow, just listen to this prompt. A user says, generate an image based on this whole menu. Use the style in this image. By mixing voice, pointing, and visual understanding, Gemini seamlessly grabs the rich content of a written menu on one part of the screen, combines it with the visual style of a bird image from another part, and generates a brand new image instantly. It is just an incredible display of taking complex, unstructured data and mixing it with minimal user effort.
And that brings us to Section 4, the shared attention era. This is really the philosophical heart of our explainer today, because it fundamentally changes how we collaborate with our machines.
So what is shared attention? It's an interface paradigm where the AI pays attention to the screen and interprets your actions exactly as another person would. Think back to Adrian's quote from the very beginning. If you were sitting right next to a colleague, you'd point at the screen and say, "Hey, could you fix this part?" Your colleague sees what you see, understands the context, and fixes it. Well, the AI pointer is now that colleague. It is looking at the exact same digital canvas with you.
What DeepMind is doing here is casting a vision for a totally new type of operating system. Imagine a private, secure OS that proactively shows you content you might find useful, while you naturally point back, having a totally seamless dialogue. You're fully sharing the canvas with the AI to achieve your goals, without ever having to think about the actual mechanics of the interface itself. It's honestly mind-blowing.
So, I want to leave you with this provocation to chew on. How will a shared canvas change the way you interact with your digital world? If the friction of clicking, dragging, and navigating menus simply disappeared entirely, and your computer became a true, fluid, collaborative partner, what could you create? I really want you to think about that as you go back to using your standard mouse today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.